So, spawning in the bottom right-hand side of Death Aura LE, our Canadian Terran player representing Team Alpha X, his name is MaSa.
And his opponent spawning up in the top left position of the map, also representing Alpha X. It is the Chinese-Canadian player. Give it up for Asuna. Fun fact, I actually beat Asuna at a LAN.
What?
A year or two ago, 2 years?
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. He went way Super Saiyan after that, though.
Yeah.
You know what? It must have been me. I must have beaten him, and he was just so pissed off that like he went into Ultra Instinct mode and went up like 800 MMR.
Oh,
and
yeah.
now he is, by all accounts, a pro player.
Yeah, no, for sure. He is very scary. It's a little surprising to hear that his rise has been so astronomical just in the last couple of years, but that's real cool, man. So really quickly, before we get into the game, where MaSa is dropping an NG Bay to block out Asuna's natural. That's so cute. Nice little work there by the SCV. I want to really quickly, Steadfast, talk about what happened in Group A. You know, we had talked about how Group A might be a little bit gnarled up in the middle. You know, a good clean group starts out with like 4 players at 2-0, 4 players at 0-2, maybe 3-3 with 2 players at 1-1 in the middle. Group A ended up with Scarlet at 2-0, 5 or 6 other players at 1-1, and then 1 player at 0-2. It's either going to be Jon Snow or Vindicta. It is entirely possible that the middle 6 players in Group A are all going to have a score of 1-1 on matches and 2-2 on maps. That could be a very, very ugly group to try and get out of if day 1 has 6 players tied for 2nd place. Wow.
Yeah. And it's not just a matter of, it's not just a matter of players beating who you'd expect them to beat and then losing to players you'd expect them to lose to. No, things are so absolutely just, as you said, gnarled and tangled. We have M. Canning beating Pili Pili, who I mentioned Pili Pili is such a PvP master.
Yeah.
But M. Canning was able to beat him. But
Weird.
then Nina, who we saw beat Jon Snow, and by all accounts, mechanically is just looking super solid, ends up losing 2-0 to Pili Pili.
What?
And then you have Disc getting 2-0'd by Scarlet, 2-0's M. Canning.
Oh, jeez.
It's such a mess already, and I'm so happy about that.
It is so fun when these players are really scrounging. You know, it makes day 1 a little more confusing because you're like, oh, I don't know who's the best one. But let me tell you, it makes the last day of competition so much fun when all these players are going to be scrapping for 1 or 2 even map wins at the last day can make such a huge difference. So it's going to be a ton of fun. As we see the Stargate come out and the first Phoenix on the way for Asuna, it looks like a 1-1-1 for MaSa here. Steadfast, take a look at Group B and let me know who else we should look out for. You've talked about Neeb, you've talked about Estrella. Is there anybody else in this group that looks really scary?
Well, of course, we have Namshar, the Swedish player who did move to Canada as well. Bit of a theme here, isn't there?
Yeah.
Everybody loves the Canadian weather, that nice, crisp winter we get.
Hey, I genuinely do love that weather, and if your country is accepting immigrants with no real skills, advanced degrees, and work in StarCraft, you should hook me up because I would 100% move to Canada.
Well, you know what? There is a way in, and gay marriage is legal here. I'm just saying.
Yes.
So.
All right. We'll talk later. We'll talk off air about this. Steadfast.
We'll talk off air. Sounds good. And we're going to be seeing a Hellion drop coming in. We'll talk a little bit more about these groups in a moment.
Yeah.
MaSa going to try and sneak in here and slip some damage into the natural. He does need to do so. He did get. Oh, okay. No, he's going to drop back out. Very interesting. Maybe kind of faking that if there was an observer there. But well, has he seen the Stargate?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's take a look at his vision here. You certainly see the Stargate now. He knows the 3 Phoenix here. This medevac is not going to live for very long, but it will distract those Phoenix just a little bit. But yeah, MaSa's not going to do it. He's not going to dive on that natural. Does snipe a probe at the 3rd base, but that's not quite what he wanted to do. Obviously looking for a lot more probe damage than that. But, he's all right. He's got 25 army supply. He's still at 33 SCVs, and he's working on a 3rd base behind this. So, a little bit of an avoidable error there, and his Liberator's going to get away as well. Things just not working out for MaSa right now in game number 1. It just seems like he's been defeated and pushed away at every turn.
Yeah, and he's going to lose all but one of these Hellions, and I think it is going to get eventually run down here. Now, MaSa may have had an opportunity to actually slip in with that Liberator while the Hellions were getting run down, but not going to kind of... You know what? MaSa, I've always kind of thought of him as an uber-aggressive player. Oh, as I say that, he is going to now slip in with this Liberator. So we will be able to find a couple... Oh, no, he accidentally... Okay, there we go. Target fires probes now. Nice job from MaSa.
Yeah.
And we'll pick off 4 of those probes.
Man, I don't think that's quite enough, though. Look at the units lost tab, though. My goodness. What is it? 4 or 5 probes now for 2 SCVs, a Medevac, 4 Hellions, a Liberator, a Marine, and a Partridge in a pear tree. MaSa just trying to... It's like he's a bad chef cooking spaghetti, just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what's going to stick. I just don't see this working out too well for him. These Phoenix going to get in. The Observer, of course, giving a lot of vision here. Asuna seems to be in a commanding position. Steadfast, when you cook spaghetti, do you throw it at the wall to see if it sticks, if it's done?
I can't say that I do, but I'm also not that high at MMR. Maybe if I was a little bit higher MMR of a chef, you know, I might go for that kind of meta. But I'm just not confident in my spaghetti throwing.
I love that. So that's how I grew up, and my mom taught me. She was like, yeah, you throw it at the wall, and if it sticks, it's done. And then I remember, like, I was in college, and I read somewhere, some people were like, yeah, some people throw spaghetti at the wall to see if it sticks, and that's how you know if it's done. Some people, you know, just bite into one piece of spaghetti, and if it's cooked, then it's cooked. And I was like, oh man, that's so much smarter than what I've been doing. These Widow Mines setting up. Oh god, please, oh please, Terran players around the world are hoping this works. Oh, it works, baby! All the Phoenix on top of each other. They're gonna need more though. Asuna diving way too deep. They're gonna lose 2 Phoenix, I think, for the price of 1 Widow Mine. He's gonna come back in. He doesn't know there are 4 there though. He doesn't know. Does he? Observer's gone. Oh, this is so bad.
Man, that was pretty rough, but that could have been so much worse.
Could have been way worse.
If MaSa could have put like a Medevac on top of the back 2 mines and even baited him further in, we might have actually seen maybe every Phoenix go down. And that would have been a dream scenario for MaSa. But Asuna will kind of get a bit of a bloody nose, but doesn't get knocked out, per se, or, you know, doesn't get a broken nose.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a perfect metaphor here. And Asuna can continue doing this Phoenix Colossus build that he's clearly working his way toward, right? The triple Widow Mine drop is not going to get anything done. In fact, he's probably going to lose everything because the Phoenix are right here just waiting to pounce on this drop. He's forced to boost away here, drops the Widow Mines. The Widow Mines should get picked up, though. Oh my god. What? Asuna, what? Asuna, what? Asuna, what? Hang on. Is my game's frozen. Is your game frozen? Oh,
yeah, it was Asuna.
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, we're going to go back on camera here, Steadfast, as we wait for Asuna to pop back in. Oh, no. Just as the giant Widow Mine shots going off onto these Phoenix, MaSa probably thinks Asuna is just disconnected out of frustration, and I would not blame him if he had. Hang on just a minute. Hang on.
Widow Mine so good, BattleNet crashed. That's what Belair is saying in the chat there. And MaSa just spamming the poop emoji in a pillar.
Oh, poor guy. Well, Asuna is finally back. We'll see if everything's all right. It looks like he's paused the game, and we'll have to wait for the players to talk things out. But yeah, not a good time for Asuna to rejoin this game, because now he has to micro these Phoenix away from a Widow Mine that they are directly pathed into. What an unfortunate time for some lag to happen. Oh, yeah. Dearie me. He's lagged back out. We may have to recover this one if Asuna's unable to join us. But yeah, if this last Widow, I'm trying to do some math here. It looks like if the last Widow Mine gets a really juicy shot, it may clear out all but one of these Phoenix. And that could be unbelievably huge.
Yeah. Devastating is the word I would use. We even have the potential, depending on how the lag works out. I don't know if that one Widow Mine on the right side, it doesn't look like it's locked on yet. But if it has, it could potentially get another shot as well. And if those Phoenix are clumping to the right side, he may actually lose every single Phoenix. It is a real possibility, because this one Widow Mine, you can see the missile is on the way.
Yeah.
And, oh, God, this is really brutal. It does beg the question of I don't know. This is beyond me. Fortunately, I'm not an admin and don't have to deal with this, but it does beg the question of, like, do you replay that? I mean, it's not MaSa's fault that there was lag, but it's also not really Asuna's fault, you know? Like, it creates a really awkward moral question.
Okay, we're getting right back into game here. As you guys can see, this explosion just finishing. Ref, no ref. Yeah, I just got to start it up. They didn't make me the referee, so the players will have to start the game on their own, and I can't talk in all chat because I'm not a ref, so they just have to go ahead and start. And when they do, yeah, it's all going to come down to if I'm not sure if this Widowmine damage has been calculated yet. Anyway, let's get right into it, Steadfast. Oh, this is going to be so close.
Oh!
Yep, that's exactly what we thought was going to happen. 4 Phoenix remaining, 6 have gone down. That was super duper painful here. And those Phoenix are going to have to retreat all the way back. Asuna going for a Phoenix Colossus strategy, but looks like it's not going to pay off for him here. Already, MaSa is knocking on his door, and this is brutal. There's 1 Colossus here, 2 Colossus here, rather. Extended Thermal Lance is finished up, so that ETL will help with the Marines a little bit. But I don't know. I think MaSa probably can't push in with just this army, but it doesn't look like that's what he's going to do, Steadfast. Drop in the main, drop going up the north side as well. Tons of damage all over the map.
Yeah, and well, this Phoenix Colossus strategy turned into more of a Colossus strategy as it just kind of got cut in half. And all of these Phoenix in the main, 2 of them will get picked off. They do get pulled back, but now the damage is really going to start to ramp up in the main base. Probes trying to stack up, but there's nowhere to run, and MaSa will target fire them down, getting 13. Meanwhile, Drop on the right side is going to unload. This shield battery cannon combo is going to help a little bit, but MaSa just really capitalizing on that that unfortunate situation. And MaSa, he is the kind of player that is a shark. When he smells blood in the water, he is going to go after it like it is just a bit of chum.
I love it. MaSa did drop, as you said, at the 12 o'clock there. Picked off a couple probes, but he did miss a bit of an opportunity. That drop happened at the same time as drop, and the natural was getting cleaned up, and he just didn't quite have the APM to micro both drops, so he wasn't focus firing probes for a while in that third base. A couple of the Marines just sitting there. Could have done, I mean, absolutely crippling damage, but as it is, he's going to try and drop in the main, but now he's a little bit too committed. He can't pick up and get back out because the Phoenix are going to pick down those Widow Mines, so he's just got to get in here with the Marines and do as much damage as he can. Luckily, there's Zealots and a Colossus to drive this back, but the real problem now is that MaSa is knocking on the front door of Asuna here, and while there are some Colossi out, the Vikings are ready for him, Steadfast.
Yes, they are, and in addition to that, nice target fire in the main base. Did pick off 2 more Phoenix, as well as a couple of probes. So now these Vikings, they have to contest with only 3 Phoenix instead of 5, and that is kind of the micro that MaSa really excels at, really getting extra value out of his units, and now he's going to be able to pick off 2 Colossus. Semi for free, I would say. Only losing a couple of Vikings. Oh, he is going to overcommit, though. That is not the play. That was for free Vikings.
Yeah, that was definitely a little bit foolish from MaSa to overcommit there. But as you said, picked off 2 Colossi, which is pretty nice, I gotta say. At this point, Asuna, I now have the Widowmine impact sound burned into my brain, and I feel like Asuna has got to feel the same way, where he's like, if I hear that Widowmine impact sound one more time, I'm going to burn this game to the ground. Probe, of course, going to get targeted by the Widowmine, will get taken down there, but it's going to draw Asuna in, and Asuna going to eat a lot more damage there on those Zealots. These Widowmines doing such nice work here. Luckily, that's the end of them. Asuna will clean all this up, and MaSa still in a great spot, though. 83 SCVs to 62 probes. You can see that yellow worker number at the bottom of the bar there, showing that MaSa is just way ahead economically and has been ever since those Phoenix went down. And that just means that when the Phoenix went down, that means that Asuna has ceded most of his map control, and MaSa has really been making the most of it, Steadfast.
Oh, he absolutely has. And, well, lands that 4th base before Asuna even started his own 4th. He's got 2-2 on the way. He's got +1 air weapons about halfway done. Everything in this game is just cruising for MaSa, even finishing up that Ghost Academy to get that enhanced shockwaves and that incredibly powerful EMP. It is just such a game changer in this matchup.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, we saw, 6 Vikings go down earlier for MaSa, and now he's back up to 8 already, putting pressure on this 4th base, not allowing it to finish. He's actually going to get a cancel on that 4th base, which is a very timely cancel for Asuna, but this fight not going the way that maybe MaSa had hoped. He is going to lose all of his Vikings. Again, the Phoenix picking off what they can, but they are going to get 1 more Colossus before they die. Oh, they do! Oh, a 4th Colossus goes down, and now there's just no backbone in this army. He was going for Phoenix Colossus Steadfast, then he lost all his Phoenix, and now he's lost all his Colossus.
Yeah, he's got the Phoenix backs, but now it's just Phoenix call. And that just doesn't work.
Plenty of Marauders mixed in here for MaSa to bulk up his army, but they are getting picked up by the Phoenix here, so some nice damage. I'm honestly a little surprised to see Asuna pushing out onto the map this far. I think he knows that he's gotten that Viking number shaved down a little bit, so maybe it's a little more safe for him to push across, but man, a 4-base Protoss and a 5-base Terran player. MaSa needs to get this Planetary Fortress in position quite quickly, but as soon as he does, he's going to be in great shape. Now, Steadfast, there is finally a tech switch going down for Asuna, adding on that fleet bacon, so I hope you've got your griddles ready. Is this going to be for carriers, or is he just going to go for the anion pulse crystals to really bulk up his Phoenix?
You know, under a normal stance, I would like the anion pulse crystals. To be honest, I really feel like he needs disruptors right now and just needs to hope and pray for a big couple of disruptor shots to get him back in this game. But I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see out of Asuna. I feel like, yeah, this is not the tech play. I do want to point out a really nice piece of micro that MaSa did, or just it's a small attention to detail, but it was really nice during the very end of that last fight. He specifically only stimmed his Marines. MaSa is very well known for a lot of red, orange, yellow health Marines and Marauders. Very stim friendly. It is going to be carriers, by the way, but he only stimmed the, oh god, those Archons getting some big shots. Wow, all of the Vikings going to get taken out really before the fight happens. A little bit slapdash, I would say, from MaSa right there. But yeah, he only stimmed the Marines, as his Marauders were, of course, very low on HP, and, you know, keeps the health a little bit higher than it otherwise would have been, knowing that he was just getting chased by Phoenix. Nice army split from MaSa right here. Is going to start targeting down expansions. Will take that out at the 4th base, and going after the 3rd as well. This is going to be a pretty decent fight for Asuna, but now he's forced to recall back over. And, well, MaSa, he's going to jump right on top of these Colossus. Will take them out. That is a brilliant maneuver.
Yeah, and of course, you might be thinking, wow, MaSa diving really deep here just to get one base and half of another base. Surely this isn't worth it, but look at the supply and the bank for MaSa, right? He was maxed out at 200. So trading away some of his army for some of the economy of Asuna, well worth it at this point. And that's going to not only force Asuna to respond in 2 locations at once, but it also reveals those Brood War carriers. Look at these floaty boys. Hindenburg carriers are now out for Asuna, but MaSa knows about it. Viking production needs to ramp up a little bit more, I'd say.
Kirov reporting. Yeah, no, he is going to see that, and that is, of course, a really costly thing for Asuna. He wanted to wait till probably at least 5 or 6 carriers before he showed those, but he had no choice, really. And there is an adage, of course, Artos is very well known for it. When you're ahead, get more ahead. But I think in a scenario like this, I really like MaSa's decision to go for it with the army that he did have. He instead decides to trade out a big amount of his bio and really leverage the lead that he has to keep Asuna's tech back, to keep the game from getting too much more complex. Protoss really gets to a scary point when they get disruptors, Archons, Colossus, carriers, High Templar. You know, like when they get that complete army, it gets so much scarier for them. Hold that thought, though. This is a really big fight. Nice EMPs on the Phoenixes, but this is going to be, well, actually, no, I was going to say this is going to be a decent hold for Asuna, but not going to be the case. Just too much bio on the ground. 3-2 on that bio, and it will break on through.
Yeah, this is well done from MaSa, reading what his opponent was up to, and he's like, hey, I've crippled you pretty badly economically. There's no way you can actually support carrier production on as few probes as you've got, and even splits up his army. But Asuna knows it. Yeah, as his 12 o'clock base goes down, the Terran player, MaSa, is going to grab game number 1. Leading the series now 1-0, putting himself 1 game away from popping up to a 1-0 match score in Group B. Steadfast, a beautiful game from both players, I think. Asuna maybe just losing a little bit too much. Was that lag spike, and let's try and be as realistic as possible, responsible for Asuna's slow descent into chaos, or was he already on the back foot before that happened?
I mean, it's hard to say. You can't really say for sure one way or the other, but it really did create an opening that MaSa was very, very much able to exploit. If there's, 7, 8 Phoenix on the map, I don't think he goes into the main base with a double drop like that. In my opinion, there's just no way. But because that Phoenix count, it was already cut into quite a bit.
Sure.
They didn't have as much HP, which means as units unload, they're more likely to take them out.
Right.
I have to say, I do feel like that played a factor in that game. which is just really unfortunate. But, you know, MaSa is one of those momentum-based players where you give him an inch, he'll take a mile. And that drop still did get unloaded into the main base without being contested. So who knows? Maybe MaSa would have gone for that double drop anyways, just not given a hoot. And maybe he gets in there. And to be honest, maybe those Widow Mines still get some decent shots on the Phoenix.
Yeah, of course. You know, it's always tough to say what could have happened if, and, you know, who knows. What's the phrase? If ifs and buts were candies and nuts, then every day would be Ertadonka Day, I guess. You know, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, a really interesting game from both players. I don't know how I feel about that tech switch at the end from Asuna, just trying to do too much at the same time, I think. But MaSa, again, reading it really well and hitting that timing beautifully. So as we go on to game number 2 on Romanta's side, right now it does look like Asuna is, I think, relogging. He had those lag issues earlier in the game, so he's, I think, relogging and will hopefully hop in to game 2 quite quickly. Now, Steadfast, you've probably played plenty of games on Romanticide LE. How do you feel about this? And I'm not going to try and not bias you as much as I can. How do you feel about this gorgeous, vibrant, exciting map from Maris?
I have become a little bit of a Maris fanboy, as it were, looking at some of the maps that she has created. And I gotta say, Romanticide is a really interesting one. I don't think it's my favorite from her, but I do still like the map design overall. I think it's quite a bit more unique than many of the maps in the current pool. And I think Super Oman really showed us with Golden Wall that just because a map's different doesn't mean it can't be very good.
Yeah.
I think Golden Wall created some of the most interesting games in the previous professional season. So I'm really excited to see what players do on Romanticide. Of course, you've got those raw minerals that kind of you can mine out at the third base. Right. If they're not mined out, they become a really frightening tank push area to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a super interesting map to me.
I love it a lot. I mean, you know my thoughts on maps. The wackier, the better for me. But I agree. I think the maps have a lot of room to grow, and this certainly looks like a great entry into the series. Would you know, it's a little too early to tell, but I'd be very surprised if Romanticide rotated out in 2021 Season 1 of the maps. I'd be, shocked is probably the right word for it. It seems like just such a solid option right now. All right, we have finally got our 2 players in, ready to roll. MaSa and Asuna on Romanticide LE. Steadfast, MaSa up 1-0. Can Asuna pull this back to a game 3, or are we going to see another 2-0?
I think he certainly can. He certainly has the capability, but he is going to have to play an extremely tight match to have any chance of making that happen. MaSa, he had his killer instinct on fully fledged, I would say, in that game number 1. And as soon as he got an inch, he took a mile. He
was dialed in for sure. Oh, man. Yeah, wild. I was just thinking, I cast the ESL EU earlier today, or the DreamHack EU regionals earlier today, and of my 3 series, all 3 of them went to a rubber match.
Oh, wow.
And now in NA, so far, we've had 2 2-0s in a row. So I don't know what that says about the NA players and their matchups or anything. I just think it's just funny, you know. I mean, it's a coincidence, obviously. There's no way you could statistically be like, well, NA players are more likely to go 2-0. That's ridiculous. But yeah, 2 2-0s in a row here. So I don't know. I kind of got my sights on MaSa right now, hoping he can close this one out. But I'm sure Asuna's going to put up a hell of a good fight. We're missing MaSa right now. Asuna just popped into lobby and said he was ready to go, but MaSa apparently is not. So we're missing a different player now.
You know, it do be like that sometimes.
It do be like that sometimes. That's definitely true. Yeah, I don't want to start the game without MaSa's express written consent. So we'll just have to wait for just a moment. I will say, there we go. MaSa's ready to roll. I will say really quickly, Steadfast, I need to hit the restroom quite badly, actually, as this game starts. So what I'm going to do is hop into the game, put the camera on you, and count on you to intro our players and give a brief intro for the game while I pop to the restroom and wash my hands. And when I come back, I'll rejoin you if you don't mind, if that's all right.
Not a problem. That is absolutely fine. You go take care of yourself.
Thanks, man. I just checked the time. I've been on for 5 hours now, just over 5 hours. So I've been trying to sneak in when I can, but it's always, you know, sometimes when you're drinking this much water, it's tough to deal with. So with that, guys, we'll hop in to game number 2 on Romanticide LE. Steadfast, The camera is yours. The floor is yours. Please entertain these good people, and I'll be back in a flash.
I will do my best. Spawning down in the bottom right position of the map, it is the Alpha X Terran player from Canada. Oh, he's pulling a quick SCV, it seems. It is the red Terran player, MaSa. And his opponent spawning up in the top left, also representing Alpha X. Maybe these guys scrim together, maybe they don't. Either way, he's going to have to bring it back in this series. It is the blue Protoss player, Asuna. And MaSa, yeah, it's just going to be a single proxy Rax right here. Oh, no, it's not. Wait, what? What's happening right now? He took a really weird route. Is this just a super early SCV scout? Or is he going to build a second barracks somewhere? No, this is just a super early SCV scout. Okay. A little bit of weirdness coming out of MaSa here. Just, oh, okay. It's an engineering bay block again. Nifty. Nice. Cool. Fun. I wonder if Asuna, yeah, it looks like he's not aware of this. MaSa loves to get in there and kind of disrupt his opponent. By the way, I want to point out that he dropped a Manor Mule in that last game, and he actually missed the screen, so I don't think Asuna may have seen it. You may have noticed it kind of just sailed across Creighton's screen there. Very, very funny. Asuna just now seeing about this engineering bay, and, well, that's pretty annoying right there. MaSa trying to block this gas. A couple of probes will get pulled to prevent that, but just kind of causing a little bit of disruption. And anytime you can do that as a Terran player, that is a nice thing to do. That's a real nice thing to do. Did we just see a probe go down? Oh my god, the probe just went down. Marine with the kill right there. Asuna going to be taking this Nexus, the natural Nexus at the third base. And MaSa scouts that very, very quickly. He does go for a pretty quick factory here, as well as a reactor. So maybe we're going to see reactor Hellions again. Didn't see them get much done in that game number one. Now, they did get picked off very effectively by those Phoenixes. And yeah, really didn't find much damage. The Liberator got a couple of probes, but not a ton. And, well, what can we expect in this game number two? Oh, this is going to be a proxy starport, isn't it?
It is. It absolutely is going to be a proxy starport. You're absolutely correct about that, Steadfast. I'm just kidding. I have no idea. I just sat back down. Why is this going to be a proxy starport? Tell me more.
Well, we do see with a very early engineering bay block coming from MaSa, he kind of disrupts his opponent a little bit. Oh, nice snipe on that SCV. That is actually quite annoying. And, well, Asuna may be able to get that back home. Hellions, of course, will be in pursuit, but that Adept Shade is going to come off cooldown very, very shortly. And as long as it kind of abuses the brush right here. Oh, man, Asuna's not using the Shade. Actually may end up losing this Adept now.
Ooh.
That's got oh.
What a dance. What a dance. It looks like he is going to... Oh, my God. He shades away. What a save by Asuna. What a baller. And a great call, of course, as we do see that starport coming down from MaSa. Stargate, however, for Asuna. And I'll be honest, Steadfast, I feel like if there's a Phoenix out of here first, this is going to be really good for Asuna.
In theory, yes. But honestly, the Oracle would allow him to clean up those Hellions quite quickly. Now, I will say, yeah, the Phoenix is nice, but it's only when you get like 3 of them out, right? Good point. Now, the shield battery will help a lot because he can still, lift up one of those Hellions, and then 3 Hellions do one-shot a probe. But with some kind of weird, funky splitting of target fire, there could be a scenario where this isn't too bad. But he does not see it coming, and MaSa is going to get right on into main base. There's that singular lift. And now, well, battery overcharge does get popped, but already 4 probes going down, and there is the lineup. Oh, nice lift. Will grab one of those Hellions.
Yeah, really interesting choices here from Asuna to lift up those full health Hellions and prevent and get the weakened one into the main base. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to hop onto that very, very weak Hellion and get the initial damage done that he wanted to. And so Asuna's going to end up by saving his medevac and getting 7 probe kills. Now, Steadfast, normally the metric I use, if a Hellion drop is successful, is that the Hellions have to kill twice as many probes as Hellions die. And we can see that MaSa fell just shy of that number, but he does have a second round coming through, and this medevac is full of Widow Mines. And Widow Mines don't give a dang about that shield battery. Uh-oh.
Oh, 3 kills right there. we will see MaSa kind of oh, look at that, retargeting the Widow Mine, the genius.
So smart.
The denial of mining time right there. Ends up getting to a scenario where he can't keep retargeting it, as the one did pop on into that gas. But that was very, very nicely done from MaSa. Behind all this, he took a very fast third command center.
Yeah, which is a little surprising. Usually if you see a very fast third command center, it's usually followed up by a couple extra barracks. So we see it going up to barracks 2 and 3 now, but very oftentimes when you get that drop going, you just don't have enough back home to deal with it. But that does mean MaSa's army supply a little bit lower than it might otherwise be. He doesn't have, any Marines out yet? 8 Marines, so not a whole lot of Marines out yet. And if there were some counter pressure from Asuna, it may have a chance of getting some damage done, but he's been pretty safe. Bunker back home. And adding on all his reactors just now. So he's going to have a huge swell of units popping out pretty soon steadfast. I gotta say, MaSa seems like he's in a decent position despite not getting crippling damage done with that opener.
Yeah, he didn't get, as you said, crippling damage done, but he did keep that one medevac alive. That's something that's really important to note. Usually when we see these Hellion openers with the proxied starport, or these Widow Mine drops into Phoenixes, almost always the Terran player loses 1, 2, sometimes 3 medevacs trying to get something done. But MaSa got all of the value from that off of just the single medevac, and he kept it alive, and now it's going out for another Widow Mine drop. This is just really nice. And that's all because he caught Asuna flat-footed. So it's not like he needed to drop the medevac as it was under fire. He just ended up getting the units out for free and getting on out of there with no problem.
Yeah, this is so cool from MaSa. This is very like Maru circa 2018, when he would just drop the entire game. Normally Widow Mine drops, Hellion drops, those are sort of early game ploys to drive your opponent back, maybe get some economic damage done and force out units. But Maru in 2018 was like, hey, wait a minute, why don't I just do this all the time? And he certainly was able to do that. The Widow Mines will get down. No, nice lifts there by Asuna, and that's going to be a really nice defense. That drop, of course, spotted by the pylon at the 12 o'clock, but behind this, MaSa is not joking around. He's got a huge fighting force coming around, ready to strike between the natural and the third base of Asuna. Now, remember, Asuna was forced to take that third base a little bit earlier than his natural, so that natural is still underdeveloped, meaning a lot of the probes are at this third base, but a good spot by a charge lot at the top side, and Asuna's going to know this is coming, and will be able to rotate in time.
Yeah, a really cute little trap in the middle of the map. Is Asuna going to fall for it? These 2 Widow Mines hidden underneath this Cyclone, and that is just so cute from MaSa right there. Not going to be the case where we see this actually working out too well for MaSa right now. He's just going to lose a lot of these units. These charge lots getting right on top of these Marines, and the Phoenixes, they'll take care of the medevacs. Only a single Phoenix going down right there.
Yeah, not the best target firing rather from MaSa, who was probably hoping to get a couple more Phoenix or even shear down that number of Zealots a little bit. Unable to accomplish either of those goals, and of course the Observer already spotting this double drop coming in. That means the Phoenix are on their way, and MaSa has got to GT heck out of there, or he is going to get absolutely destructinated there, Steadfast.
Oh, absolutely. And we see the we see the supplies really in favor of MaSa, and that is off the back of that much faster third command center. Even though these last couple of situations, these last couple of trades, and especially this one right here, not going all that well for MaSa. He's losing a lot, kind of pretty much for free. Oh, the trap! Oh, okay. Both Widow Mines actually went off and didn't get that much value. I got maybe 1 or 2 Phoenixes for that, but not as much as I think, expecting.
Yeah, I definitely expect him to do a little bit more than that. But the good news for MaSa is that even though this continued pressure isn't really doing anything economically or shearing down the army of Asuna, it is forcing him to, 1, stay back home and not pressure, and 2, it is forcing a fair few units out. Now, this is finally some economic damage here. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 probe kills going to go down. God. This is actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be, and that's going to force Asuna across the map now. MaSa has plenty back home to deal with this, though. He's adding on 3 barracks, adding on that Ghost Academy. As you said, EMP is going to be ready, just like last game, to shear down the army of Asuna. And I'm really worried for Asuna's position right now. This has been a very odd, but a very effective soft contain from MaSa.
Yeah, he's just really kept Asuna back and kind of stunted economically, while really putting himself into a fantastic position economically himself. 4th base landed, turning into a planetary. Now, I want to point out the fact that everything Asuna has, except this soon-to-be Colossus, is pretty much hard countered by Ghosts and Widow Mines. And, first Ghosts are going to be hitting the field very soon.
Yeah, interesting that MaSa's pushing before those ghosts are ready. He knows there are a lot of charge lots on the field, and charge lots can do a fantastic job, especially dragging these Widow Mines. We see, oh man, all 5 Widow Mines going off at the same time on the one clump of Zealots, but the Zealots are going to tear apart MaSa's army. So MaSa is actually going to get driven back here, but those Widow Mines doing a bit of damage. Nice counter pressure, though. A couple extra units popping in for 3 additional probe kills. So well done there by MaSa, who still somehow, even on army supply, even though the army value is now in favor of Asuna.
I think it just comes to how much he has been outmining his opponent. Oh man,
God.
these
Oh,
Widow
God.
Mines. Oh, Asuna, please don't do it. Not like this. Not like this. Okay, there we go.
Oh, thank
man,
goodness.
lifts a little bit bold. Oh my God, he actually loses quite a few Phoenixes. 2 Phoenixes for free.
Huge mistake from Asuna there. Not just the 2 Phoenix that he lost for free. I think the Observer got sniped down there as well, didn't it?
Oh, it did. Yeah, it
he
went
lost
down to
the
the splash
Observer.
damage.
That poor guy. Which means those poor Widow Mines are going to stick around for a little bit longer, and MaSa can try to draw Asuna back into another trap. It's so funny. Widow Mines are so inefficient most of the time, right? They're easy to catch. They're often easy to counter, but man, when they hit, they hit. So beautifully done by MaSa. And honestly, I said this before, but I'll say it again. MaSa doesn't really need to win here or take a big advantage. He doesn't have to break Asuna. Asuna's stuck on 3 bases and MaSa's working on 5. Asuna's on 60 workers and MaSa's on 80. Even though, again, the army value was slightly in favor of Asuna, it's actually now in favor of MaSa. Even though the army values are similar, the army supply way in MaSa's favor. A great EMP goes down here, and this could be a really rough engagement.
I would change that could to was, as MaSa absolutely obliterates the army of Asuna. The Phoenixes weren't there. I don't think they would have made all that much of a difference. But as I say that, they're actually going to help clean this up a little bit. MaSa's army getting a little bit overstimmed, but he has still done so much damage to his opponent, and he's up 50 army supply in addition to that massive economic lead that he's carved out for himself.
Oh yeah. Do me a favor, Steadfast, and just punch the number 2 on your numpad and look at that army size graph. It is disgusting. That last fight, so efficient for our Terran player, and he's even going to spot this 4th base, and that should be the key that MaSa's like, all right, my whole goal was to stop you from getting a 4th base, and now I got to move. He's got twice the army supply of his opponent, and Asuna looks like he's in a really, really rough spot. Again, the Phoenix out of position, that big fight going down. The Colossus so widely exposed. Almost no gateway units on the ground right now, Steadfast.
Yeah, this is just so brutal. The fact that Asuna's even made a game of this is impressive. That was a pretty big friendly fire Widow Mine right there.
Yeah, but still not enough. I mean, we can see the 12 o'clock base now under duress. It's going to get canceled. Thank goodness he didn't kill that off, but still a minor, I don't even know if you can call it a victory, just a loss aversion there from Asuna, who does actually get to cancel on that base, but still, Asuna 3 bases, MaSa now on 5. Income way in MaSa's favor. Upgrades in MaSa's favor. Cloak coming out for Ghosts. More Widow Mines cranking across. Steadfast, is there any way out of this game for Asuna?
I mean, he just needs to hope for a big blunder from MaSa, to be honest. I'm always a fan of Disruptors as a comeback mechanic, but I don't even think that he can really afford that right now. Now, if he can get up to, a couple more Colossus,
oh God,
maybe, just maybe.
The Widow Mines. Oh God, where's your Observer?
He really needs to stop taking these Widow Mine shots. There we go. Observer will show up.
Thank goodness.
But it buys MaSa time to get into the natural once again. 13 more probes go down. Meanwhile, there's an army on the right side that is coming in and dealing with these Warpins. Asuna is just being peeled apart, and, well, MaSa's up 100 supply.
Man, Asuna just getting zerged down. I feel like MaSa's doing like Ling run-bys, except instead of Lings, they're Marines with guns. Oh. You're kidding me! How many Phoenix have died to Widow Mines this series? Steadfast, it's too dang many. Oh, jeez.
Oh, and the target fire from the Marines takes down another 2 Phoenixes. We have lost 13 Phoenix in this game number 2. And, well, if I were a betting man, I'm going to say this is another 2-0 right here.
Guys, it's obvious. For those of us watching, we're like, why doesn't Asuna just tap out? Surely he's lost. But remember, we have map hacks. We know exactly how good this is for MaSa and how bad it is for Asuna. And not until now does Asuna